Alright, and we're live. Since I talk too much, I'll try to stick to the script, okay? Hey, for anyone new, I'm Carlin. I was in the Navy during Desert Storm. I served 9 years as an aircraft mechanic. Maybe you've heard about this. There's a headline you hear once in a while. About 22 military veterans are committing suicide every day in the U.S. That is pretty horrible. I don't have the answers, but I decided to help shine light on the problem. My goal in 2022 is to ride my bike to 22 states in honor of the 22 veterans. Maybe we can end the tragedy. For me, riding the bike always makes me feel better. So I've spent some time putting together a bike, an electric motor, and a solar system to extend my range. I think I can do at least 50 miles a day. That works out to about one state every week. We'll see how that goes. Some of my bike is a copy of bikes I saw on the Sun Trip videos on YouTube. Well, it turns out there might be a U.S. Sun Trip this year. Maybe. More on that soon. And like I said, since I do talk too much, I'll try to stay on the script, okay? Alright, starting off. Ready or not, we go. Soon. Next. The website isn't finished, but it's up there, and I'll do my best to post updates as I go, but no promises. I'll shoot short videos and upload them to YouTube when practical. The website is carlincom.com. So carlincom.com. There will be a link in the description. And if I remember, I'll put it up here on screen. Okay. Your support is greatly appreciated. Patreon, PayPal, and YouTube memberships. I think I'll need at least $10 per day on the road. Every dollar helps. That would be about 2 cans of stew or chili or soup, and a few Clif Bars. Basically what I eat now, but more. On the ranch here, I'm cooking beans and rice every day. But the crock pot doesn't seem practical on the solar electric bike. But I did actually consider that. Sponsor the race. Maybe. I mentioned the Sun Trip. There's possibly going to be a Sun Trip American edition this year. If you didn't see my earlier video about this, the Sun Trip is a European event for solar electric bike touring and racing. 2022 is their first year trying to have an American event. They've not had much interest in it yet, so it might not happen. I've signed up as a participant, but have not paid any entry fee yet. Originally, it was to have been a $1,000 entry fee. That might go up or down, depending on the number of people and the length of the event. It was originally going to be from San Francisco to Portland, Oregon, across Colorado, somewhere on the East Coast, and then up to Boston, Massachusetts. What it's looking like now, since they didn't have very many people sign up, they're probably going to do just a loop in the San Francisco area as the first year, and then they can use that to help get more promotions for next year. But right now, I don't know if it's going to happen at all. So, okay. The $1,000 entry fee isn't set in stone. It might go up or down depending on the number of people, length of the event, and so on. And it's not yet clear if there will be a Sun Trip, so I'm not sure yet if I'll be in it. I will need help with the entry fee if it does happen. What the Sun Trip means to me. This was my first real introduction to this idea of long-distance touring on a solar electric bike. I've been watching the videos over and over for a few years now. So when I saw they were doing a U.S. event this year, I got pretty excited. I'd especially like to be part of the first U.S. event, if possible, kind of a ground floor, I guess. I would be doing this as part of my 22 states ride. as I plan to also continue the ride next year, having participated in the Sun Trip would make it easier for me to get bigger sponsorship next year. Anything I do in 2022 will be building towards the next few years. Next, sponsor a state. It's true, I will not be exploring every corner of every state. I've been drawing lines on maps. They're all subject to change, but since the Sun Trip is expected to be in San Francisco around the end of May, I'm angling in that direction first. If I go along the borders of Colorado and New Mexico, then Arizona and Utah, and then cut down through Las Vegas, and then border along Death Valley, and then end up on the Pacific Coast, I'll have visited 7 states just getting to San Francisco. And I will have covered the whole southwest part of the U.S. Then after California, continue up the Pacific Coast Highway, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, then across to Montana, Wyoming, etc. If I go across and then follow the Mississippi down, I'll have between 22 and 24 states with no backtracking or overlapping. 24 states is half of the 48. We'll pick up the other 24 2023, next year. That's the goal. The way it looks, I will be a bit early in the mountains if I leave soon. I'll have to watch out for snow, but then by the time I come back through the mountains in Montana, it'll be warm and summertime. The west half of the U.S. is all the mountains, so I'll get that done first. Then the Midwest states should be clear sailing. I know some people will want to help out on the trip. First, just watching these videos helps a lot, so thank you. I'll figure out the details and put up some buttons on the website for PayPal. But how about $500 and you can be listed as an official state-level sponsor. If you have a business you'd like to list as an official sponsor, that would be pretty cool too. I had all kinds of ideas a few months ago, but I was busy grinding and welding the bike together and didn't put time into trying to find sponsors. Chunky Soup and Clif Bars would be pretty awesome though. Or, maybe Motel 6 once in a while. A warm bed and a shower would be nice. And finally, the route and the plans. Leaving early and expect to make 50 miles per day. The trailer adds a lot of weight, but it's got the solar panel, and so that generates the power. I'm old, overloaded, heavy, and underpowered. So the route and plans are still pretty flexible, and it depends a lot on the weather. It got warm here in March. Today I rode the bike to town. I wore shorts. First time this year, it felt great. I know it's still in the 30s overnight though. What I've been thinking though, don't wait, get going as soon as I'm able to. I've not been doing nearly enough training rides though this year. I thought I'd be doing 100-mile days by now. Winter slowed me down, I guess. What I'm thinking, if I leave soon, I should be able to do 50-mile days, and I'll be slowly getting to my goals and waypoints. I should be able to get to San Francisco in 30 or 40 days though. And if I leave early, I won't have to stress out about it in the beginning. It might be hard to get on the bike the day after doing a 50-mile ride though. And weather, wind, rain, mechanical gremlins to solve, it's best to leave early. So my plan, hit the road probably in the next week or two. I've still got a few problems I need to solve, but it's getting to the point where we're looking at it like triage. It's like, well, you got your boots, you got your bike, let's hit the road. The rest we'll figure out as we go. I had started off with a long list of really neat ideas like, Raspberry Pi for navigation and data logging and, especially on a solar electric bike, it'd be kind of cool to show stats on how much solar I generated, how much power I used, you could cross that to a map and you'd see a GPS with a little bar graph or something like that. For me, mostly, I just want it to go, you know. With what I've got now, the bike has a 250 watt motor. It's about the smallest motor you can really get. I'm running a 110 watt solar panel, and I've got a 36 volt battery that I made. So if I'm not in too much hills, I should be fine. I will be making up the difference. You know, so anybody who looks at this as, oh, he's cheating, he's got a solar panel. Honestly, like, I did a ride today on the other bike. I've got a really lightweight, it's not a racing bike, it was like literally the cheapest bike I could buy that day at Walmart. But if you've seen the videos, I've got the blue bike. This was the blue bike. It's got 28-inch wheels instead of 26s. It rolls really easy. It's a single speed. It's got an aluminum frame. Okay. Just happens to be a very inexpensive bike. That bike flies. I can get to town in about an hour. In fact, the blue bike with no electrics, because it doesn't weigh anything, I can get to town faster than I typically ride the electric bike, because the electric bike I'm slowing down for the bumps because I'm nervous about braking everything. It's a gravel road. Okay. So the blue bike flies. I would love to take the blue bike on this trip, but as a lightweight bike, I don't know how well it would do with a heavy load on it. And it's also only a single speed, and so I need to be able to shift gears for the hills and stuff like that. But all of the things that I've seen on the videos, people talking about the electric bikes on the Sun trip, the ones that did the best had a fairly small solar system, and the rider made up the difference. And so you may end up riding, you might be putting in 60 or 80%, and then the solar is there for a boost. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. In my test rides that I've done so far, if I pedal hard pretty much all the time and then just use the solar and the battery to get up a particularly big hill, then you can go pretty far continuously. If you just sit there and you hit the throttle and you go until the battery's dead, you might get 20 miles. Okay. By bringing the solar panel along, you're constantly trickle charging. And since I live off grid, I'm used to that mentality. Like today, I made waffles. That's a 1,000-watt waffle iron. It takes a lot of power, but it had all morning to charge. The batteries had a good charge. I made a small batch of waffles. Now the batteries are fully charged again an hour later, right? So if you just kind of look at it like that, most of the ride, I'm looking at the topographical maps, there's going to be some pretty serious hills, all right? But if you work as hard as you can, there's been people riding bicycles across the U.S. since bicycles were invented practically. So it's definitely doable. It's not going to be easy. And in fact, what I thought of today when I was on the blue bike, and it was just a simple bike, no accessories. I finally put the brakes back on. It didn't even have brakes for a while, but it's just a quick, easy bike to ride. Nothing fancy, nothing hanging off of it. It's just simple. It's like, if I would be really thinking about this, if I just took a basic bike, no solar, no electrics, no batteries, throw a backpack on for a really light camping setup, I could probably do this easier. I'm adding a trailer to hold the solar panel, and then that gives me somewhere to put all my camping gear. And the weight and the complexity is going up and up and up every time I do something, right? So we'll see how it turns out. Maybe 2023 we'll go straight to a simple bike and no trailer and just a bedroll or something. We'll see. But it's something that I like, this kind of a trip, so I'm going to go do it. I like the idea that I could show it's possible I'm in my 50s, right? I'm not like, I've got friends that do triathlons. I'm not an athlete. But if a person could take a couple $100 worth of gear. A few $100 worth of batteries, the solar panel is a couple $100, an e-bike kit. What I'm running is right off of eBay, right out of China. None of this is particularly expensive. I'm not going with a $4,000 bike. This is really simple stuff. So what I'm hoping to do is show that with a little bit of work and a little bit of ingenuity, when you could go buy all these parts. I just happen to make a bunch of it. But if I could show that it's possible for a person to go out and go camping and not have to drive a big motorhome, and if I can cover half of the U.S. in a year, maybe that'll get a couple cars off the road. I saw a guy talking about this one time on a video. It was like, you could if you had an e-bike, you could ride to work and back. All right. So he had one of his customers was put a little solar panel on the bike. He had enough battery to get to work, leaves the bike out in the parking lot all day. By the time it's time to go home, the bike was fully charged, and then he could ride home again. I'm like, oh, that's genius. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to say, okay, I'm going to sell my truck, which I did, and build an electric bike, which maybe wasn't the best use of time. But if you could have an e-bike in your garage or up in your apartment and go out and ride it and take your car off the road one day a week, that makes a difference. That would be, and if you're having a rough time, there's nothing better than that feeling of being tired when you get home from a good bike ride. You always feel better. I mean, you're probably going to throw up, But aside from that, the endorphins or whatever, exercise makes you feel better. So get out, go for a walk, jump on your bike. And if you're not big on biking yet, get an e-bike. That gives you a little bit of confidence knowing you can probably get back again, and you'll start riding more. And then what I found, because when I started I wasn't looking at doing something this big, having the e-bike, I've looked at it as it's like a partnership. So I call it the robot. If I'm going up a hill and I'm pedaling as hard as I can, and I can feel the assist of the motor kicking in, now we're a team, we're going up the hill together. So the harder I work, the farther that battery goes. All right, it kind of tricks you into working harder than you would if you were just by yourself, and you go further. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, that's it for now. Sorry about the inside video. I'll try to do more outside videos soon. Well, pretty soon it'll be all outside videos. So that's it for now. As always, thanks for your support. I do appreciate it. There's links down in the description. The website isn't really finished yet, but there will be some links there for Patreon, PayPal, YouTube membership, things that I really need. A few dollars a month would make a huge difference on this ride. I haven't been working for the last 2 years now, so these videos is my main source of income. On YouTube, there's a join button, there's two things. There's the membership button or join button. They keep changing the name on these things. And then there's also a thanks button. Alright, the e-bike battery's charged. Let's go. Yep, we're ready to go now. Patreon and YouTube membership is a monthly subscription. You can give me a few dollars every month. That makes a huge difference. PayPal is a one-time. You can just hit it one time and you send me a few bucks, or more if you want. The other option though is on YouTube. There's the little heart button. It's called thanks or super thanks. Every time I figure it out, they change it. But you can give me a one-time donation off of that button, which I guess the big difference is the thanks and the membership I get once a month. It's like my monthly paycheck. If it's PayPal, I get it pretty much immediately. Okay. So if I'm stuck in Wyoming and it looks like it's going to snow and I'd really like to go stay in the Motel 6, PayPal will get me money faster. Whatever. So, as always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Should be an interesting ride. Bye for now. Yeah. We'll see if the wind blows. It probably will. I've had to get pictures of the bike and the solar setup, and I thought, well, hey, we finally got clouds for a change, so let's go ahead and get that in here while we're at it. And what better place to do your picture of your solar bike than in front of your solar panels and your off-grid house out on the ranch. So here we are. Alright, stay tuned for more. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out Patreon or YouTube membership. All your support, greatly appreciated. Thanks for coming along. See you on the road. Alright, here we are in the first week of March already. Typical chaos, you know. So, I don't know. There's the bike. 2 flat tires. I guess I rode through some thorns yesterday on one of the test rides. I'm like, I swear, it's going to be the little stuff that makes this difficult. You know, the solar power will probably make it work, but it's going to be flat tires and things like wind that are going to make it really difficult. So anyway, the mechanical part, the trailer is basically put together and working. I don't have the solar panel loaded yet. It's sitting over here. I've tested all of the individual parts already. Airplanes flying over. So, you know, it's like I've already got solar panel that's in that box. It works. It's got a charge controller that works. It works with the bike batteries. I've done some 70, 80 mile days. That's all working good. It's just a matter of putting everything back together. What happened was I decided to switch over to this bike, which is the heaviest bike that I have, but it's also the strongest. So yeah, that seems kind of counterproductive, but it should actually last. So with all the load and everything. So this was the bike I was using for riding through the desert and practicing and stuff. And yeah, so let's just do that. So I've been tweaking it a little bit, getting things figured out. Got the one-wheel trailer dialed in a lot better. I made some changes. The hitch is completely different now. It's heavy. It's getting heavy. And then earlier today I took the blue bike for a ride. Oh man, this bike flies. I wish I could take it, right? So that's something to think about for next year, but it's only a single-speed bike, and so it'd be really good until the first time I hit a hill, and then I'd be in trouble, you know. But yeah, this reminds me a lot of the motorcycle trip. You know, let's take something we like, the motorcycle in that case, or you know, just have a rough day, jump on a bike, go for a ride, just have fun, enjoy it, right? And then we throw all the stuff on top, and we make it into this long, torturous event. It's just not right, I tell you. Alright, let's get on with it here. Yeah, I would do this outside, but as soon as I get around the corner, the wind blows. Which is fine. It's really warm out, but you can't hear the mic. So we'll just do it inside. Then I'll come back outside after.